'Tis I. Hey everyone, glad to see you back, glad to see you looking fresh, and today I want to talk about Astro and how I am extremely excited for this little guy. I have been looking my entire life, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, to see like what Sony / PlayStation in particular, like their mascot could be, would be, should be. Because, like, every generation it seems to bounce around a little bit. Obviously, PlayStation 1, people immediately jump to a whole slew of different ones. But typically, more to the third-party stuff. You think, what's the PlayStation 1's icon? Crash Bandicoot comes up a lot. Spyro comes up a lot. Even Cloud Strife can come up a lot. But all those are owned by different companies. Not a one of them is a Sony exclusive anymore. Like, I guess the new Final Fantasy VII Remake Rebirth, but then even then on PC, so that doesn't really count. So, Sony is, like, out of the big three, is without, like, not without icons, but without an individual icon to express their consoles and to have people, like, excited and to latch onto. Of course, Nintendo, Mario. Xbox, Master Chief. Two very different, like, game franchises, but exemplify their individual consoles perfectly. Sony, like I said, ton of great franchises, ton of great like characters here, there, everywhere, and each individual console has had new icons spring up. Like, you can think of the PlayStation 3 generation, you could think of Nathan Drake being the icon. PlayStation 4, maybe Aloy springs to mind. PlayStation 5 hasn't really had one yet, but that's where Astro comes in. Astro was included in a pack-in title, Astro's Playroom, with every PlayStation 5. If you own one, you own this game. It's an incredible adventure. Not very long adventure, but a great one nonetheless, where it's a ton of fun. Take you about 4-ish hours, which is a great length for a free pack-in game, in my opinion. And it's a 3D platformer. It goes through the history of PlayStation. It shows love to all different franchises, both first party and third party, because a lot of third party franchises are very associated with the PlayStation brand. So it includes that love of the entire history. When PlayStation unveiled a new Astro game, which I assume will be longer than Astro's Playroom, called Astro Bot, I got extraordinarily excited. Because this is a chance for this little guy, this little character who's had different games before. This isn't like his second ever adventure, but this is a chance for him to really be spotlighted. And I really hope this game does well. Of course, we haven't played it yet. We don't know exactly everything about it, but this character has the chance to just blossom into this wonderful franchise, into this wonderful face of PlayStation, because that's what his games already do. His games are already a celebration of the brand, so why can't this character be the mascot of the company? I think it's a wonderful idea. So this game as a whole, I think, absolutely has the potential to be one of the best of the year, one of the best on a console. Already, like, I think Astro's Playroom is a must-play on the console, not only because it comes packed in, but it still is the best showcase of everything that the controller has. The haptic feedback, the feeling, the HD rumble, everything that controller can show off, that game does in spades. It's a wonderful thing. I've even showed it to like my parents before to be like, this is how cool this controller is. Like, you can feel it when you like pull on a lever. You can feel the feedback. You use a bow, like wind's blowing on you, you feel it. And my mom also thought Astro was adorable, so that was a big plus. So that's like great. This character can just work as a mascot. And like I said, if the game's bad, then this probably won't go anywhere. Do I think it'll be bad though? Absolutely not. Astro's Playroom already showed us that this game studio, Sobi, has the potential to be just an absolute killer and stuff like this. And on top of all this talk about mascots and like franchises, having a game that is not a third-person action-adventure story-driven game from a PlayStation studio, huge plus. Sony, for the last couple generations, that's been their bread and butter. Sure, they'll drop a Gran Turismo or something every now and then to kind of change it up. But the main thing, like I said, is that third-person, over-the-shoulder action-adventure story-driven kind of thing. And just having a 3D platformer, simple, no story really needed. Let's just play around. It's just a game. It just looks like fun. And even in that presentation, the PlayStation Presents, it came at the end of, while there are some games in there that look great, new Monster Hunter looks great, for instance, there are some games in there that, like, really did not sit well with me. Like, I'm tired of 5v5, like, hero shooters. I'm tired of, like, multiplayer games in general aren't really my thing, but, like, the fact that we keep copying the same, like, types of game over and over and over is tiresome. There'll be so many hero shooters out there. That put me off in a really negative mood right off the bat with that, and then, of course, we end with something that harkens back to simpler gaming times, a time when, 3D platformers ruled the world, and, when we were jumping into it, and, like, Mario, like I said, even Crash and Spyro, old school PlayStation icons, those were the big ones, and that was the genre to be in. So many of those games are still fondly remembered and still played today because of just how well crafted they are and how much fun they are. And this game just looks like fun. And PlayStation needs diversity, honestly, in their portfolio. Because, like, while I love plenty of the franchises that they're doing, some of it can feel stagnated. Let's use The Last of Us as an example. Changing up the gameplay of The Last of Us wouldn't have fixed a lot of people's problems with that game. But that franchise, like, gameplay-wise, yeah, it's more stealth-based, a little bit more horror-based. It's a third-person, over-the-shoulder, action-adventure, story-driven game. And I'm sure Naughty Dog's next game, next franchise even, will be that again. Is that a bad thing? No, not necessarily. There is absolutely a market for games like that, and games are like that, like, are wonderful. But it is sad to see, like, even, like, God of War, and I'm not saying the new God of Wars are bad by any means, used to be a hack and slash, like, over-the-top action game, has been turned and transformed into the same genre as the rest of the games that PlayStation do. I mean, sometimes they're more open world, and sometimes they're more linear, but, like, as a whole, like, that's the genre that PlayStation likes to reside in. Astro can break that mold for us. If Astro does well, performs well, it reviews well, I don't see any reason why Sony won't see this as an all-around positive, and we should mix things up, get different genres involved. And, yeah, I just hope I hope the best for the little guy. But what do you think about Astro? Do you think this game is going to fail? Do you think it's going to be amazing like I do? By all means, let me know down below. Thank you so very much for watching, and as always, like this if you like this, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you at some point.